Assalamu alaikum dear students, this is Asya Falak Sultan, your social science teacher. Today we are going to study about a chapter from unit 3rd, which is United Nations. Dear students, United Nations is an international organization set up in October 1945. It is currently made up of 193 countries. Its mission and work are guided by the purpose and principles of the United Nations found in its charter. Dear students, the United Nations is an organization between countries established to promote international cooperation. United Nations was established to replace the League of Nations, which was established post World War II, and the purpose of its establishment was to prevent future conflicts between different countries. When it was established, it had only 51 member states, and there are now 193. Most of the nations are the members of United Nations. These members or these nations send their diplomats, or we can say the ambassadors or their representatives, to discuss different global issues and take necessary decisions. So dear students, this was about United Nations. Let us know about more United Nations, its structure, its organs and objectives. Let us know more about United Nations, its structure, organs, objectives and other things about United Nations in detail through this video.
Hello children, and welcome to a new chapter, the United Nations. So what is United Nations? If I have to explain to you in very simple terms, just imagine you are fighting really wildly with one of your siblings, like here. So you and your sibling are really fighting. Who comes to the rescue? It's generally your mother, right? So your mother comes and explains why you shouldn't fight. Well, the UN is doing the exact same thing on a global scale. They try to prevent wars and spread the word of peace to the entire nation. So when I talk about wars, let's talk about the wars that have happened in the past. So we have the world wars. The First World War broke out in August of 1914, and it was a terrible war in which several nations of the world were involved. And this war started in Europe when the industrialized nations of the world became jealous of each other's powers. Now, each country wanted its own empire to grow, and millions of soldiers and others were killed or wounded. Even houses were destroyed, and there was a severe shortage for food. So this picture here depicts World War I. So you can just see the amount of damage to goods, society and humans that the war has actually done. But people didn't learn their lesson even then, and World War II broke out in September of 1939. And things escalated when USA dropped an atomic bomb over two Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, I'm sure you must have already heard of this, and the amount of loss of life and destruction of cities that was seen in World War II was 1,000 times greater than the damage that happened during World War I. So if you see here, these planes are actually carrying atom bomb, and this is the effect of an atom bomb. And it's no joke, children. The effects of this atom bomb were so long reaching that generations after, people suffered. The effects of the atomic bomb were long reaching for generations after generations. Children were born deformed. Finally, people of the world learnt a lesson, and they thought they must put an end to war. And after the World War II, all the nations of the world came together to find a way to prevent wars in the future. And the tremendous amount of destruction and misery of the world faced due to the wars finally taught a lesson to them, and the nations became wiser. As a result, we have the birth of United Nations in the year 1945. And this United Nations brought up a set of rules called the Charter of United Nations, and this was made at a conference in San Francisco, USA. And it was signed by all the 50 member countries on 24th October 1945. So when UN opened, there were 50 member countries, and these 50 member countries agreed to the charters and signed a contract saying they will follow the rules of the charter. And today, we're very proud to say that UN has 193 member countries being a part of its peacekeeping motive. So let's look at the aims of the UN first. The first aim of the UN is to maintain international peace and security. So when UN feels like there are disputes between two nations, it tries to coax the nations to solve it through discussions. But if it still feels that there is a threat for a war to happen, the UN sends forces called as peacekeeping force to prevent war. The second aim is to develop friendly relationships between nations. It believes that all the nations of the world should be friends with each other. The third aim is to encourage respect for human rights and freedom of all the people. All the member nations of the UN are expected to ensure that human rights are upheld in their country. The fourth aim is to achieve international cooperation in solving economic as well as social problems. It believes that the world can have lasting peace only when all the nations of the world achieve progress and development. That's why it expects that the richer countries have to help the poorer countries for improving their living conditions. The last aim of the UN is to help fight diseases as well as preserve the environment. So through these aims, you can see that UN is not just focusing on one thing, but it is focusing on so many different things. Like it is focusing on peace, it is focusing on friendly relationships, it is focusing on human rights and freedom, it is focusing on social and economic problems, and it is focusing on diseases as well as preserving the environment. So it is an all-round phenomenon. Let us now look at the principles of UN. The first principle of UN is that all the countries that are members of the UN are considered as equals, no matter how much developed or how underdeveloped they are. Once they are a member country of UN, all of them are equals. The second principle of UN is that all member countries must obey the charter. We just saw 5 aims, right? All those 5 aims come under the charter, and if a country belongs to the UN, it has to obey the charter. The third is that the countries must try to settle their differences by peaceful means. Suppose you have a problem with your friend, you try to first solve it by talking to her, right? You don't directly start a war against her. Same way, the UN wants the countries of the world to talk and discuss their problems rather than jumping to war. The fourth principle is that the UN will not interfere in the domestic affairs of a country. It will not dictate terms to the country as to how the country has to be run. It is completely giving freedom to the country to run it as they want it. Only thing is, they are bothered about the peace of the world. Now let us look at the structure of UN and what are the different components of UN. When you see the structure of UN, the UN is made up of 6 components. The first one is the General Assembly. The second one is the Security Council. The third one is the Secretariat. Then we have the fourth one, which is the Trusteeship Council. Fifth one is the International Court of Justice. And the sixth one is the Economic and Social Council. This is the sixth one. So these are the 6 different bodies that comprise the UN. Now let us take each of these and look at them in detail. First, we'll talk about the General Assembly. Now when you see the General Assembly, it is the main organ of the UN. This is something you have to remember. The General Assembly is the main organ. It's like your heart or your brain, which is a main organ of your body. And it is made up of all the 193 member countries that belong to the UN. And each country will get 1 vote, and all these 193 countries will meet once in a year. and they will discuss actions of the UN. And every member country puts forward its ideas and opinions. Suppose at that point of time there is a lot of poverty, all the countries will decide and take decision as to how they can combat poverty. Or if there is starvation and hunger, they will all discuss how to solve starvation and hunger. And based on the discussions and decisions that are taken, what action must be taken is decided. Now, these members decide routine matters with simple majority vote. Majority vote, just like how you have your class election for your class leader, more than half is considered as majority. But when there are very, very important matters that are being discussed, the voting should be more than 2/3 majority. 2/3 of the people have to agree to something if it has to be passed. Otherwise, that particular rule or law or decision won't be made. However, it is not compulsory for all the member nations to follow the recommendations of the General Assembly. It is giving rules and regulations and policies so that countries can develop better, but it's left to the opinion of that country whether they want to follow it or not. Now let's move on to the next component of the UN, which is the Security Council. When we see Security Council, it is the most powerful organ of the UN, and it is responsible for maintaining international peace and for restoring peace if a war breaks out. And the council meets whenever there is a threat to peace or if a nation has a complaint against another nation. Suppose the UN feels like there's going to be a war, there are two countries that are fighting against each other, the Security Council will meet and they will make sure that there are some rules and regulations to prevent this war. Or suppose one nation has complaints against the other nation, they will go and approach the Security Council for help. And all the member countries have to accept the decision made by the Security Council. And this Security Council has about 15 members, out of which 5 of them will be permanent seats. And these permanent seats are held by the United Kingdom, the United States of America, France, Russia and China. So these people are the 5 permanent members. And these 5 have the power to veto. Veto means overrule. They can overrule any majority resolution that is made by the General Assembly of the UN. If they decide that they don't want to pass that particular policy, they will veto it and stop it from happening. So these 5 countries have the supreme power. And the other 10 members are generally elected for a term of 2 years. Now we will look at the Secretariat. The people who work in the UN, that is the staff members of the UN, are called as the Secretariat. And they carry out the day-to-day activities of the UN. And the head of the Secretariat is the Secretary General. He or she will carry out the decisions of the Security Council. And he is a very, very powerful person. So if the Security Council decides something, it is a job of the Secretary General to make sure that it happens. So this person is extremely powerful. And the Secretary General is chosen by the General Assembly. So all the 193 members will vote and choose the Secretary General. And this is for a term of 5 years.
So dear students, I hope you understood the United Nations, its organs and objectives very well. Now, if we talk about the present status of United Nations, its headquarters is in New York, which you all know. And its official language comprises of 6 main languages, which includes Arabic, English, French, Spanish, Russian and Chinese. Its General Secretary is Antonio Guterres and its Deputy General Secretary is Amina J. Mohammed. And the General Assembly President is Tijani Muhammad Bande. This was all about United Nations. Hope you understood the chapter very well. If you find any difficulty in understanding the chapter, do contact me via mail, that is asia.sultan@kashmirharvard.org. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.